Hello again, everyone. I'm Gene Valicenti. This is Beyond the Podium. My guest today is General Treasurer candidate Stefan Pryor, who's going to be in the Democrat primary. Stefan, thanks for coming in. First
Great
question.
to be with you, Gene.
In your own words, what
Yes.
differentiates you from your opponents?
So I've been Commerce Secretary here in Rhode Island for 7.5 years, and doing so, I've managed billions of dollars of investments, private and public investments. Likewise, when I was called into service at the World Trade Center to help rebuild the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan, I managed billions of dollars of public investments. My opponent has managed only millions and has had very different experiences. I know how to manage at that scale and to do so ably and responsibly.
Okay, explain what you see as the most important issue facing Rhode Island. Pick one issue.
I think the most important issue is the economy. Inflation is up and the stock market is down. There's volatility in our economy, Gene. And I think we need a treasurer who knows how to, with a team, manage us through turbulent economies. We know that the Treasurer's Office can be leveraged to keep our finances strong and keep our economy strong.
All right, just pick a couple of things. What makes you uniquely qualified, though, for that task? Uniquely.
Yeah, you know, at the World Trade Center, we faced tough odds. We were coming out of a literal disaster, and we rebuilt the World Trade Center, investing billions of dollars to make America proud, and I know I can do the same here in Rhode Island. We've managed through some tough economies. I know even if the tough times come, I can manage us through it working with a team.
Is there an issue that you felt one way on, and then over time you changed your mind on? Is there an example of a policy or issue you've changed over the last 20 years, or a good chunk of time?
There is, Gene. I'll tell you, I believed that democracy in America was rock solid, was without real threat of vanishing on us. And I do think that with people questioning the validity of elections and with other instability in society, including the fact that when our economy is weak, when inflation goes sky high, people question our country and its economy. I never thought that democracy would be as unstable as it is. I think all of our elected leaders need to put our all into reassuring the public that we can get through the tough times, including tough economic times.
Is there a question you wish someone would ask you along the way, along the campaign? I wish they would ask me this.
Yes, for my priorities in the Treasurer's Office. And I'll tell you, Gene, I have very clear priorities. I want to focus on the economy for all Rhode Islanders. Three quick examples. One is small business assistance. Small businesses often need access to capital, meaning loans, grants, financing. I want the Treasurer's Office to be the permanent home for that, for financing for small businesses. You know, Gene, during the pandemic, the state did stand up some programs that were federally funded, but on the long-term basis, small businesses need access. Vulnerable populations. Individuals who are escaping tough family conditions like domestic violence often have challenges that are financial. For example, joint bank accounts between partners or spouses. For example, entangled finances in other ways. I want to use the Treasurer's Office to help people escape conditions like domestic violence with bridge financing that gets them on strong financial footing. And third, access to the banking system. Too many middle-income Rhode Islanders and low-income Rhode Islanders are still intimidated by the minimum balances in savings and checking accounts, by the fines and fees that can accumulate in the early days when you first established accounts. I want to work with banks and other lenders using the influence of the Treasurer's Office and our expertise to help get Rhode Islanders into the banking system so that they can build wealth and build for their future.
Who is your political hero? Do you have one?
You know, one of the political figures I admire most is Gina Raimondo. I have to say that having been by her side during COVID, I was able to witness Gina Raimondo's real strength and her compassion as she helped Rhode Islanders get through the pandemic. I thought that was remarkable and very impressive. And I have to say, now that she's serving our country in Washington, she was one of the people most credited for spearheading the CHIPS Act, which is now getting semiconductors built in the United States, which is crucial to our economy and our national security. So I truly admire former Governor Gina Raimondo.
What's the best but let me strike that. What's the best advice you've ever received?
So I had a mentor in John C. Whitehead, may he rest in peace. Mr. Whitehead had a home here in Rhode Island, and Mr. Whitehead was a veteran of World War II and went back into service to chair our board at the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation to rebuild the World Trade Center as a volunteer. And Mr. Whitehead was there during our darkest days, and he would always tell us, please find the reason for optimism and tell the world about it, because that will help us get there. And what he meant was, find the statistic on how things are going in the right direction and how we can build upon that to get to a better place. I learned from that advice, and we should always be proud of where we're strong and how we can do better. And in Rhode Island, I have to say, I have to transition to this, we do have one of the strongest recoveries in the country coming out of COVID, and the strongest recovery in the Northeast. We need to embrace that as Rhode Islanders. We need to be optimistic and express that we can be leaders in our whole region economically.